physics class, let's focus on friction. And this one aspect of physics that you are, as a physicist, you are supposed to know very well because it's part of JAMB syllabus. So in this video here, I want to actually take the first part of friction, which is called static friction. So, but I'm going to explain what is friction, the type of friction. They want to dive into static friction, the calculation aspect. Then in the next video, we'll talk about what sliding friction. Do you understand? So, but first, what is friction? The word friction means what? Opposing force. Do you understand? So the force that opposes the movement of an object when it is contact with another surface is called friction. Let me go over it again. The force that opposes the motion of an object when it is contact with another surface is called friction. So he's saying that friction tends to oppose the motion of an object when it's contact with another object here. So he's saying that there must be two objects that is in contact. For example, here, if I should place my hand here, is that now what happened here is that frictional force is acting here. So if I move here, what happened here? There's a frictional force that acts here. So try to stop this movement. Just so and the frictional force is always parallel to the contact in surface. For example, let me give you a clue example here. For example, here we have this guy here. This is a bus, and this is the floor. Instead that this bus is in contact with the floor. Here we have floor. Here we have what bus, right? Two of them are in contact. As far as two of them are in contact, now this movement of this bus here, we are trying to move this bus because it's contact here. There's always an opposing force that prevent this bus from moving. That force that prevent the bus from moving is called frictional force, and it's very, very important. Frictional force is the reason why we can walk easily and we don't slide. Just it's very, very important. So that force that opposes the motion of an object when it's in contact with another surface is called frictional force. And we have two main types. Right there, we have two main types of friction. We have two main types of friction here. So here we have type of friction. Types of friction. Right there, here we have type of friction. Number one is called static friction. Right there, static friction. Now, what is static friction? Static friction prevents an object from moving when a force is being applied. So that force that prevents an object from moving when a force is being applied called static friction. Do what example like this one here. So this object here is what is stationary here, right? It's not moving here. So if you should apply a force, to drive here. Now, what prevents this bus from moving is called static friction. So instead of before this bus can move here, the force you apply must overcome the static friction. Just that's what static friction. Number two, kinetic friction. Right there. This is the force that acts on an object when it's moving. So the force that opposes an object when it's moving is called kinetic friction. So for every moving object or sliding object, right there, there's always a frictional force that you want to stop it. Example, when you have an inclined plane here, which I want to talk later, is okay. We are talking about in the second part of this video here, right? So these are the two types of friction. But what we want to do here, our main focus is going to be static friction. So we have to focus on static friction. So now, static friction here, let me draw it for you here. So static friction, now at first the object is stationary, right? The contact with the surface here. So what happened here? There are three things to know here. First of all, the weights. the weight of the object, which called the normal force. It's called normal force. It's called normal force. The weight of the object is also what the normal force, because the weight of the object is acting downward. Now, here we have the frictional force. There is acting opposite, just as acting parallel here. Frictional force here, right? So here we have the frictional force, which is what F here. Frictional what force. Then here we have Fn called what? Which is what? Normal force. Normal force. And normal force is what? Is the weight. Weight of the what? Object. Then the last one to look at is called coefficient of static friction. It's called coefficient of static friction. Now, this coefficient of static friction is what you need to understand very well. So, what is coefficient of static friction? Remember I said that frictional force is the force that is opposite the motion of the object when a force is being applied, right? Normal force is the weight of the object, While coefficient of static friction, this is what I want to explain to you now, because you need to understand it here. Coefficient of static friction. Which words? So what is coefficient of static friction? Coefficient of static friction is a value that represents how sticky two surfaces are when they are rest to each other. Coefficient of static friction helps to determine how much force is needed to start moving an object that is at rest. So look at something here. The coefficient of static friction represents how sticky two objects are when they are at rest. Just and that is called coefficient of static friction. Just like this here, how sticky they are, when they are in contact with each other when they are at rest. That's called coefficient of static friction. Another thing you want to understand here is that, so the value that represents, please pay close attention here, the value that represents how sticky these two are to each other when they are at rest is now a coefficient of static friction. And it also determines the force that we apply to overcome the frictional force. So to overcome this frictional force, there is actually some here for the object to move here. Now, coefficient of static friction is what determines how much force you need to apply to overcome the frictional force. That's called coefficient of static friction here. And if you check very well, coefficient of static friction, coefficients of static friction is the ratio of coefficient of static friction is the ratio of frictional force and the normal force. So the ratio of frictional force and normal force is called coefficient of static friction, which is like this. Because over normal force here. You understand? So this is the formula here. So if you make this frictional force solve the formula here, you will have frictional force equals to coefficient of static friction times the normal force. So this is the formula you need to apply when you are solving problem, when you want to start friction. You understand? So coefficient of static friction, frictional force, normal force, right? Now remember this normal force here, you are seeing here equals to is the weight, because m times g, the mass of the object times relation to gravity. So now let's start taking some questions here. Let's start take some questions so you understand this. We have three different set of questions. Although starting friction is not that too difficult, it's not that too difficult because once you know the formula, it's very easy for you to solve the problem, right? So let's look at what the first one is. That a 10 kg bus is on a flat surface. The coefficient of static friction between the bus and the surface is 0.5. What is the maximum static frictional force? So they're asking what static frictional force, the frictional force. That's what they're asking of, right? So the mass, very easy. Mass of the object is what 10 kg, right? And coefficient of static friction here is what? Coefficient of static friction here is what? 0.5. It's okay. Now remember, coefficient of static friction does not have units. There's no units. Now they ask of the frictional force. So that's not what frictional force here. Of course, we have to calculate the normal force, which is the weight, right? So the weight goes equals to what? G, right? The weight is what is normal force equals normal force. Idea, which is what normal force. So to calculate the normal force now, you got to be what? 10 kg times 9.8 meter per second square. Meter per second square is okay. So what will be the answer here? Remember, you have to convert mass to weight by multiplying by what? G. It's okay by multiplying by what? Acceleration to gravity. We got 9.8 meter per second square. So 10 times 9.8, here we have what? 98. So my normal force here is going to be what? 98 Newton. Is okay. Now, what is formula again? Remember, I tell you that our frictional force is equal to what? The coefficient of static friction times what? The normal force, right? So what does the GS what multiply? Say we have frictional force equals to 0.5 times 98. So 98 times 0.5, here we have what? 49 Newton. What does it mean here? It means that for the bus to move, you have to apply a force greater than what? 49. I get. So this is the frictional force, this is the opposing force. I get. So for the bus to move, you need to apply a force that is greater than what? 49. So for you to push the ball, for you to push the bus, I get, you need a force that is higher than this frictional force. Any force that is not higher than this frictional force that you apply, the bus will not remain the same. The bus will remain at that point here, it will not move. But once you apply a force that is greater than this one here, the bus will now start to move. Do you understand? That is me. So let me move to our question 2. Please, if you're following this class, leave a comment that you are following this class. And if you want to join my private class, send me a DM that you want to join my private class. Because for my private class, this is where I teach large majority of the topics you are not going to see here on YouTube. Do you understand? There are some of my videos that is not on YouTube. They are for private students. Do you understand? And if you want to be learning every single day, without you waiting for me to upload video, now just send me a DM so I can join our private group. Do you understand? I don't depend on YouTube monetization. Do you understand? Because YouTube monetization is one of the most lowest way of making money. So I don't depend on that. So I depend on my private class. Do you understand? So if you're my private student, you know that I don't play with you. Do you understand? I give you class on a constant basis and I follow you up. So if you're that kind of student that will play for JAMB and you need someone to coach you, then campus is the right place for you to meet. I teach math, chemistry, and physics. I also design the timetable for you. Just now. So let's move to our question 2. Let's move to our question 2. This is that a bus weighing 100 Newton is resting on the floor. It takes 40 Newton of the horizontal force to just start moving the bus. What is the coefficient of static friction? Easy. So the normal force so your normal force now that you apply is what? No, normal force I get. Normal force is what? A bus swing. Normal force is the weight. Do you understand? Normal force is the weight. So you're going to do what? 100 what Newton. Rest on the what floor, it takes 40 Newton of the horizontal force to just move it. This is the what frictional force right there, because for the other to move, it has to what to overcome this one here. So this force is the frictional what force right there. So frictional force is okay. Frictional force is what is 40 what Newton. 40 what Newton. Right. So when I say to calculate, what is the coefficient of static friction? What is the coefficient of static what friction? It's okay. It's very easy. Remember that coefficient of static friction is the ratio of what of what frictional force to the what to the normal force, right? So going to be what frictional force over what the normal force. It's okay. So when you put your value here, frictional force is 40 Newton over the normal force is 100 what Newton. So 40 divided by 100, here we have 0.4. Remember, I need to go at here. So the coefficient of static friction is this. Now, what does it mean here? It means that this shows the value of how sticky the floor and what the weighing the bus is. So this value determine how sticky they are. That is what this value, that is the coefficient of static friction. Now, with what I've done here, you should be able to solve this question yourself. So go ahead and solve this question. We leave it at the comment section. Do you understand? So we have come to the end of this class here. Our next video is going to be what frictional force that is slide, and that is what is the most difficult aspect when it comes to what frictional force. So I want to take a dedicated video to explain that for you. Do you understand? If you're not subscribed, please kindly subscribe to the channel here. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.